What are the best decks to play in WoW if you want to win, if you want to go to rank 5 from rank 5 to legend? I will show them to you. 2 decks per class. So every single time you have a question, I will probably link this video to you. First off, with Druid, you have 2 different variations of Druid. You can either play Jade Druid, which means you go infinite or summon big green man forever until your opponent dies. Or you play something like Mecha Mill Druid, where you just draw your whole deck, play the combo, which is either you play Mecha and win, obviously. You play Talk Wiggle, make your opponent overdraw, and then he dies. Or you go for something like Hakara, but all those decks are countered by Skulking Geist and Dirty Red, so I wouldn't really play Druid at all at the moment. But the good thing is, if your opponent doesn't run any of those cards, you should be pretty good, in a pretty good spot. If you play against any control deck without Skulking Geist, you just win. You go infinite, you make 12 12s, 13 13s, and bigger green man. And in those other decks, well, just draw and draw and draw, clear the board, go for your OTK, and win. Spreading Plague is basically Reno Jackson, but on rare, and twice, and you can attack with each and every single one of those Plague Beetles, or whatever they're called. There, you have a 1 mana Fireball in form of a Spellstone that is easily upgradable. You have Malfurion that heals you. Yeah, fair decks. You can also just play something like Oaken Summons, right? Free 4-drop. Draw 2 cards, basically. The card in itself and the card from your deck. Yeah. You're basically cheating with like 10% of your whole hand at any given moment. Like at least 3 cards in your hand are cheating. Based on a normal power level. They're just overpowered. That being said, play the decks, they do work. Next up, Hunter. In Hunter, you can either play Mech Hunter, which should win you the game by either turn 3 or turn 4, because you just have a giant board because of Mech Bubble Galvanizer. You reduce your whole hand, flood the board, go face, win. Easily, it's like 1,000 dust, maybe 2,000 if you play Zilliax, but it's really cheap and it does work. Besides that, you could play something like Midrange Hunter or even Secret Hunter. It's basically the standard deck. You change 4 to 5 to 10 cards maximum, and kindly grandmother, it's a common. Quick shot, it's a common. Like, those decks aren't expensive. The good thing is, it does work. The bad thing is, it's Hunter. Do you want to play more Hunter if you already play standard? Probably not. But the good thing is you probably have all the cards, so it's a 50-50. You want to play it? You not want to play it? That's your decision. Good thing is, after the rotation, there might be no Hunter in standard, so it can all be found in wild, and those decks do work. That being said, next up is Mage. As you can see in Mage, you either go for an OTK, where you just draw your whole deck, reduce the cost, play Tony and the girls, and then you have Exodia, and throw all those fireballs in your opponent's face. Or you go for Aggro Mage, where you play secrets for free, and well, use Fireball, Frostbolt, Icelands, all that good stuff to reduce your opponent's health total. I would say, in any given point, you go for Exodia. Why? Because Exodia looks better, and they have it in Secret Rare. Now, after this humble flex, let's move on and go to the next class, known as Paladin. If you encounter any Paladin, what would you think? You probably think, oh, there's a 2-second delay at the start because you see a Barco animation. But what happens if there is no odd Paladin? Then it's Murloc. Murloc OTK. Murloc OTK works because, number 1, the word says you have an OTK. Number 2, you can buff your stuff. And number 3, tackle into double Molten Giant just, well, wins you the game on the spot. Happened a few times against me on turn 2. Your opponent coins it out. Turns out, for 2 mana, or 3 with a coin, 19, 20 in stats, and it's pretty overpowered. This deck works. I think you play Wardcall into Warlord, well, you have Silence. Yay. You might include in the odd Paladin list something like Double Owl if you face more Warlocks or Big Priest. But in general, even if your opponent clears the board, you refill, you play Corridor Creeper, you buff that stuff, and you go face again. Until they lose. You have Quartermaster, and a few legendaries. For example, in the Murloc list, I would say it's probably harder to play, because you might not own Terram, like me, you might not own Finjan the Ninja, you might not own Thackle, or Moltens. I would definitely go to Odd Paladin, most likely. And Shane, known as Demonic Chaos in chat, he went to Legend in 100 minutes. From rank 5, 3 stars, I think. 22 and 1. 96% win rate. With Outpaladin about 3-4 days ago at the recording of this video, so maybe you feel encouraged and try it yourself. Is the list? Code in the description. Now, if we don't face Paladin, what might be odds on ladder? Priest. I hate Priest. I mean, look at the list. You play Barnes, you're Resurrected, you have Giant Stuff, you have Obsidian Statue, which for 9 mana as a card would be fine. But no, it has Taunt, it has Lifesteal, it kills your stuff, and it's on the board forever. You kill it, Spellstone, you kill it, Resurrection, you kill it, Eternal Servitude. Fair. You can also go Coin, Barnes into Yasharaj, and then your opponent concedes, which does happen. Multiple times. Each stream. Yay. But if your opponent plays a 1-drop, like Northshire Cleric, he might be Dragon Priest, which means he probably clears the board by playing Dustbreaker, he stabilizes the board by, well, playing something like Twilight Guardian and buffs it, or when you play something like a Giant, if you are a Mountain Giant player, he goes for Twilight Acolyte, or Shadow of Death, or anything that he wants to put in that deck. How's this deck winning, you might ask? Well, you go for Anduin, you go for Alex, you go for Mind Blast, Anduin ping, Mind Blast again, ping, another Mind Blast, who's going to BM. Yeah, lost a few times to that because I thought I would be safe at 20. No. You're not safe at 20. Especially if your opponent plays Velen before. And it dies, and he has 1 resurrection effect for whatever random reason. Being said, it does work. Priest actually does work. And the opponent probably mulligans wrongly because it's a 50-50. What kind of priest you are. Maybe you might even play something like Quest Priest, so it's even harder to find the right cards to mulligan for. Would you keep Dark Bomb against Big Priest? No. Would you keep Dark Bomb or Frostbolt or any early mana spell? Against Dragon Priest? Yes. So you should have an advantage just by your opponent not knowing what deck you play. Afterwards, we have Rogue. And Rogue, yeah, let's just say it's like Jade Druid. It's unfair because you have an infinite weapon. Look at the weapon. You buff it, you buff it, you buff it, you throw it, you draw it. Infinite weapon. Your pirates are fun because they can go face. They buff your stuff, mostly your weapon. You have Ship's Cannon that for whatever reason targets your opponent's face. Even if you have 5 minions, you die to it. Or you play something like Mill Rogue or Big Rogue. I went for Mill Rogue instead of Big Rogue in this, I don't know, comparison or example, because I think Big Rogue just dies too early game. Like, Aggro just kills it way too fast. The same could be said against Mill, but this list with Mill, it feels more safe. Like you have double Sap, you have double Vanish, you have all the cards that should heal you, especially Healbot and your Valspine. Like this list is rather new, but it does work. That's the fun part, right? It's rather new, you probably haven't seen it, or probably haven't played it, might have seen it on ladder. And you can play it as well, and might have success. It's still Mill, and you just instantly win against slower decks. You might put in something like Valera to have more late game potential, to have more cards to play. Double Oracle, into Shadow Staff, into Oracle again, into Shadow Staff, into more, while having Bran on the board. Well, your control opponent cries himself to sleep that night. Yeah. Let's move on to Shaman. There are 2 Shaman lists that are popular, really popular, but let's just say 10 to 15% of people do play it. It's mostly even Shaman. Like I see the Gen animation at the very beginning. If it's not even Shaman, it might be Malygos. If you play, not for fun, but for ranks. If you play for fun, probably Shadowwalk and Jade, but this is just for tier 1 and tier 2 decks, so. How does this one work? You use Barnes, you get Malygos, you kill him. You get Barnes, you get Taurison, reduce your hand, play Malygos with Ancestor's Call, and you kill him. Or you play your Spirit first, use all the spells, and then get the cards, reduce them, and then play Malygos, and then kill him. Or you play Even Shaman, and Even Shaman, well, you hero power, play 2-drop, you hero power, coin a thing from below, again and again and again, or it's 0 mana 5-5, and then you play a 4 mana 7-7, or 2 mana 3-4, or a 0 mana 8-8. You see where I'm going, right? The cards are pretty overpowered and pretty well statted. Like, the only way you lose as an Even Shaman is if your opponent just steamrolls you. or he doesn't care about your board. For example, if you play, let's say, against Big Priest, you have the Wolf, you have Hacks. You can also include like 4 times Wind Fury. And just get 1 minion to stick on the board and then face. Then you win. Basically the same like in the last year. And if you don't like Shaman, well, maybe you like Warlock. Like this dude right here. See this list? It's actually my list. Seems good, doesn't it? Okay, not really. I personally swapped Voodoo Doll for Mecha because I thought you might need more than 4 demons if you play double sense demons. It happens more than often than you have like 3 demons in your hand, then you get 1 sense demons that draws you 1 card and 1 worthless imp. So I personally swapped 1 Voodoo Doll for Mecha. But then I faced my own deck, but against Voodoo Doll in Mecha thun, and it killed my stuff. Didn't like that. How is this deck working? Well, you reduce Mecha thun, you play Hamid, blow up your deck, you reduce Mecha thun 1 more time, play Blood Bloom, play Catechism with a Mecha thun on board. Explosions. Wonderful, wonderful firework. But if your opponent doesn't play in that style, and you probably figure out what he plays the moment he plays 1 Galvanizer, or he plays very defensively, or you don't see any Doomguard, or just Zilliax, then he might play even. And you probably noticed if he plays even from the beginning of the game, if he plays Gen or not, right? In even Warlock, I would say you should include something like 1 Shadow Flame. Maybe even 2. And maybe even Ragnaros. I'm not too sure though. Because Z wins against any combo, right? The opponent thinks, oh, 10 mana, easy, combo time. No. 4 turns slowed down, he probably is in fatigue, and you can just kill him. So Z alone is a good card, but I think, personally, if you go for something like Rack, it might be even better. You should have an out against Kingsbane, because you do have double ooze, and you do have some taunts, but Silence against Faceless Shambler kinda kills him. The only good thing is, if you play against Aggro, you do have Sun Fury Protector and Double Molten Giant. And if you know how to play your deck, and if you feel comfortable going low on health and use it as a resource, not just as a number that has to stay as high as possible, you can go for Double Molten into Sun Fury and swap the position with the opponent in who is winning. And then just go face twice and he's dead. And it does work, but if you get unlucky, your opponent has something like Double Abyss, Soulfire, anything that goes face directly, which is not the best thing. Worst matchup for even is probably Mage or Big Priest. Both are like 20-30% win rate. But just don't queue into them beforehand, right? And then it works. Also definitely play Double Spellbreaker. Double Spellbreaker is kinda needed. Too many Warlords, too many big cards, too many Death Rattles. You need Spellbreaker. You can tap, play Giant on 3, Twilight Drake on 4, the 4 mana 4/10 and the 3 mana 8/8. Seems like a good deck. But there's one deck that counters that. It's Odd Warrior. And I hate Odd Warrior because you don't feel like you play against the player who plays Warrior, play against the hero power, which is heal for 4 or tank up. Whatever, gain 4 armor, right? And Reckless Flurry is Flame Strike for 3 mana. Brawl is kill the whole board for 5 mana. VGH kills my giants. I'm the Warlock player, right? Yay. Make your opponent Overdraw with Coldlight Oracle or Death Lord. Or you play something like Stonehold into Dirty Red and kill their combo. The way you win with this is not by board presence, it's usually your opponent either fatigues before you, or he concedes because he doesn't want to play against 500 armor. Or he's just, I don't know, disappointed in humanity. But do play it, I encourage you, do play it. Play Mecha thun and win against you. Or you play Pirate Warrior, which is right next to it, and like 50, it's like 50-50 if you encounter a Warrior, which is very rare and wild. It's usually control, but it might be Pirates, and against Pirates, well, if you can't clear the board, you're dead. And if you can clear the board, well, you probably die as well. Hawkwind is pretty annoying as a 4 mana go face. Leroy is pretty annoying. 20% of your health in 1 card. Gone. Arcanite Reaper. 33% of your health in 2 attacks, in just 2, and you can buff the weapon. And you can cheat out Dread Corsair. You can play Shieldbreaker. You should probably include the second Shieldbreaker, just because Warlord kinda messes with you. But this deck also works. That being said, those are 9 classes, 9 decks. Let's see how many cuts I have to make. I would say thanks for watching. I'll see you guys on stream.